Good afternoon. This is Bob Gorley. I have the pleasure of interviewing Ken Himes, and his wife's over here also, in case she wants to say anything. Barb. This is podcast number 126, and thank you everybody for listening to this. Ken, where are you from?
I was originally born in Somerville, as was Barb, and then, of course, Mom and Dad moved to Shannondale. I lived in the Shannondale area till I was about 20 years old.
Okay, and how did you get involved with the Air Force?
Well, it was sort of a unusual story. I was in my fifth semester at Clarion. And I wasn't doing too good, and I didn't like it. So just before, and I'd met a friend who was an ex-Marine, also going to Clarion, and he had me sort of talked into going into the Marines. So just before Christmas, 59, I guess it was, I went down to the courthouse to visit the Marine recruiter, and I was going to join the Marines. He wasn't there, but the Air Force recruiter was there. So I ended up joining the Air Force. That's how that happened. Just by luck, actually, as it turned out.
What was a typical day like when you joined the Air Force?
The first year, especially, I got into the Aviation Cadet Program, which was a commissioning program, which trained us also to be navigators, and I was in that particular unit for about 11 and a half months. And a typical day was up at 5 o'clock, doing calisthenics for about 15-20 minutes. Then we went in to clean our rooms up. Then we went to eat, and then we were back in our rooms by about around 6:45, and we had to dress for the day. Of course, they were pretty particular on how we dressed. Then we had to clean our rooms up again for inspection, and about 7:30 we went to class. We spent about 8 hours off morning in class. I included everything: academics, physical, training, etc., etc.
How was the food?
Food was excellent. I gained 20 pounds. It was, of course, we were in Harlingen, Texas, which is heavily Mexican at the time, right on the border, and our cooks, most of our cooks and people who were on the base were Mexican, and they were excellent cooks. And of course, I was a country boy, used to eating pretty good. So I gained about 20 pounds over the next 8-9 months.
How did you meet Barb?
We were classmates in high school.
So you knew her when during this Air Force. When did you guys get married?
We were married after the Air Force. I was married before.
You just kind of contact.
We were both married before, and her husband died, and then I guess it was about 40s. We met at a class reunion. Yeah.
Wow.
We had a class reunion, which would have been probably our 25th or 30th reunion. We met again, and that's how we got together.
So you were 20 years in the Air Force. The last 16 years you were in the military air transport?
Yeah, the first 6. I was in the MATS for 19 years.
19 of the 20 years you were in that.
I trained for 1 year, flew for 15 years, and then I went into maintenance again with MATS. By then it had changed to MAC, Military Airlift Command. And I was at McGuire the last 4 years as a maintenance officer.
When you said you flew, you were
navigator.
Navigator. You were the navigator.
Navigator. I always flew on crew aircraft, air transport, which is the Military Airlift Command at the time. And we usually had 2 pilots, a navigator, engineers, a load master when we were in cargo, and then when we hauled passengers, we called them stewards. They were cooks, but they were the load masters trained to be cooks. They were quite good. I did that for 4 years out of Andrews.
How big of a territory did you cover when you're in that military transport?
All over the world.
Did you go down to like South America?
Only a couple times. I was in, I think I only ever had 1, maybe 2 trips to South America.
So you're in South America and you're in Europe and you're in
Europe.
Asia.
In Africa.
Did you ever go to Australia?
Yep,
In Africa?
yep.
How about Antarctica?
Never in Antarctica. I've been on the North Pole, but not the South.
You've been to 6 or 7 continents? Is that what that is?
I've been on all the continents, yeah.
Well, except
Antarctica. That's right, 6 of them. You're correct, yeah.
So,
I forgot that was a continent.
what was one of your most memorable missions? Or deployments, or whatever you call it?
Well, actually, one of the more exciting ones, I was over in Europe for 3 to 4 months reflex. We would go over there and fly support in Europe. Now this is back in the 60s, so we were flying C-124, and we got on we had an airplane, and then lost an engine. The engine quit down in Aden, which is in the southern tip of Saudi Arabia, and we had to fly an engine down for this aircraft. And we left Germany, went down through Africa, and we had to land at Khartoum for fuel. And we got our fuel, went to leave, and the police stopped us and said, "You have no permission to be here. You can't leave."
And this is like down in, like by Saudi Arabia.
Now this is Khartoum, Sudan
Sudan.
in Africa. It's
Okay, so you're in Africa.
Yeah, we were headed for Aden. Aden was the next stop. So we didn't know what to do. We had an air attaché, and his assistant was his chief master sergeant. So they go to work to try to get his permission. Well, the only person who could give us permission was some big shot in the Sudanese government, and he was down south. They were having a civil war in the southern part of Sudan. Wouldn't be back for a day or two. He was the only one that could give us permission. So they arrested us, but they let us stay on our airplane. And
So there's no handcuffs involved.
oh no handcuffs involved.
Okay.
And we stayed on the airplane for a day or so. Really hot out there in the middle of that desert. No air conditioning or anything like that. And finally, they gave us permission to go to a restaurant, get something to eat. We had no food, so what little bit of canned stuff we carried with us. And so we went out to this restaurant, and they had a really good meal, and a couple glasses of wine. And I think maybe our aircraft commander had 3 glasses of wine, I'm not sure. But when we came back, we got out of the cars to go back through to get to the airplane again, and the AC said, "The heck with this. We're not going, let's leave." So we all ran for our cars, and of course the guards, they have real guards. They tried to retain us, and we got to the cars, and everybody was in the car but me. And a guard grabbed me. Now you got to realize I wasn't very old at this time, 21, 22 years old. And one of the engineers, he grabbed me too, jerked me in the car, and we went to the embassy. And that was sort of exciting. And of course, the next day on the headlines of the local paper, it was a communist paper, so we were made out to be real criminals. But a day or two later, the guy finally came back, and the ambassador got with us. They gave us clearance, and we went on to Aden with our engine in. But that was probably the most memorable time we had. I'll be honest with you, I probably was pretty scared at the time.
So eventually you got to take your aircraft and keep going.
Yeah. Once the big shot got back, only one person in the government could release us. We actually had clearance, but the locals wouldn't recognize it.
Did you ever do fueling while you're in the air?
No.
Okay. So
We didn't do
how
refueling.
far could you fly between fuel stops?
With the 124s, we could fly about 15, 14 hours maximum, very maximum.
So
We only went 200 mile an hour though, so that's not too far. Most of our missions were 10 hours. We'd be in there 10 hours.
what was your normal altitude?
With that airplane, from 8 to 12,000.
What's the highest you ever were in flying?
Well, when we flew jets, we flew 39,000.
39,000.
39, yeah. I don't think I was ever over 40.
How high do you have to be to start leaving contrails?
Well, the height isn't as important. It's the air conditions.
It's the temperature.
Yeah, the temperature and the moisture. The contrails are caused by ice crystals formed by the heat from the engines,
Okay.
and that's what causes them. I honestly don't know. But once you get to about 30,000 feet, most of the temperatures up in that area are minus 50 degrees centigrade. It's cold.
Transitioning from active duty to civilian life after such a long military career, what was the biggest adjustment?
People.
People?
Yep. In the military, you just had an instant family all the time. And of course, when I went into the Air Force 20 years previous, we had a, very friendly but 20 years, things changed around here. Most of my friends and people I knew they weren't around, and so I don't know, people just wasn't the same. You lost that family.
If you were giving any advice to other veterans that are retiring, what advice would you give them?
Well, I think just be prepared for that hard transition from having an instant family to just having mostly strangers around till you get yourself established again. Now, once I was back 2 or 3 years, and you got to know the new neighbors, they were all new neighbors to us, then that changes quite a bit. But we don't have it's nothing like the military. The military is great in that respect. You could go from, like I moved 13 times in 20 years. And within a day of arriving somewhere, you had friends. Because everybody was in the same boat. And you don't have that in civilian life.
Being all over the world, which place did you like visiting or staying at the best? Which country? I mean, besides the United States.
Probably the most pristine, with the friendliest people, New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Christchurch, New Zealand. That was the staging area for our unit used to support Antarctica. I'm talking back in the 50s and 60s. And I never got to do this, but we would send, I think they sent a full squadron, 8 aircraft and the crews. They go to Christchurch, New Zealand for about 2 months, and all they do is fly back and forth to Antarctica. And this was a routine every year. It was during the summer in Antarctica. And the minute when the crews landed down there, they went in as a squadron. They were met by local people, and everybody went to somebody's home. And they stayed
in Antarctica.
No, in New Zealand.
In New Zealand.
In New Zealand, and then they fly in and out of there, back and forth to Antarctica.
When you were talking to people about Antarctica, did they say, were they allowed to talk about Antarctica?
Oh well, yeah, but see, back then they didn't land. They only they had to take stuff in and drop it.
Oh, so they didn't hang out.
No. This was right in the beginning. I don't know how, there wasn't very much in Antarctica at that time.
It sounds like it's pretty well hush hush, or not like a lot of public information about Antarctica.
Yeah, even to this day, I don't know how many people we have in Antarctica now. I think they sort of have a village now, and of course, later on, the C-124s were replaced with C-130s, and they put skis in the C-130s, and then the C-130s could land on the snow down there. And at this point now, I think they can land aircraft.
Did you ever land on snow
Yeah.
with skis?
No,
Never.
no, just on ice. Well, I should say ice, not snow. We used to support the DEW line, which is a defense line up, and that's when I've been to North Pole. It stretched from northern Greenland all the way over to Alaska. Came across northern Canada, and they were radar sites.
And that's called the DEW line.
It was called the DEW line.
The DEW line.
That's DEWIZ, defense. My mind won't remember, but it's Z was zone, D was defense, and what it was where all the radar sites set up to track aircraft and missiles coming across the North Pole. It's still there. It's just a lot different now.
Brookville is a small, tight-knit community in Jefferson County. What do you love most about living in this part of Pennsylvania, especially after your military life?
Once you get to know people, the friendliness of the people around here, the way they support the military. You know, for instance, during Vietnam, a lot of the country they were pretty upset with the military, but never happened around here. It was always just nice, friendly folks in general. Low crime, you know, you don't have to worry too much about getting hurt or getting...
What do you and Barbara enjoy doing together?
Eating.
Eating, yeah.
Going out and dining?
We go out every day and have lunch somewhere. It might be today we were at Wendy's.
And when you guys do cook here, which one cooks?
We don't cook too much.
Okay.
We both cook a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, you
Yeah.
both do it?
Yeah, but primarily our cooking days, she said she's retired, and she meant it. I never could cook very well.
We make soup and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, we make soups, and we do a little bit of cooking, but nothing to write home about.
Well, you guys are active in Zion Lutheran Church in Shenandoah. What role has faith and community played in your life in the last few years?
Well, I think, like all old folks,
Yeah.
you tend to be a little more cognizant of the fact that hey, you're not going to be around too much longer.
Yeah, you're
Better
not-
get right with the Lord, and
Yeah.
so I think I don't know if it was just me, but I think that tends to be true with most people.
Your hourglass is starting to get a little less up there.
Yeah, the lower part's filling up.
You've been recognized in local veterans events. Tell us about that experience and why honoring veterans matters so much in Brookville. In places like Brookville, you guys, you get together at some veterans events?
When right now there's only a couple of us in the area, but when we first got up here, every year we'd have an event here, and then our church at Shenandoah did too. But pretty much all the veterans are gone, so it's sort of going by the way. I sometimes think that it's almost as important for the non-veterans as the veterans to have this recognition, because it's really important for our country to be appreciative of what some veterans have done. I'm think more the ones that have been wounded, the ones that were killed, and so on and so forth. I was lucky. I was never in a battle like people think about veterans. The Vietnam soldiers, the ones that were on the grunts that were on the ground, a relatively few percentage of those that were over there, but some of them really went through a lot, and they're the ones that really deserve it. There's a Klinger boy down in our cemetery at Shenandoah was killed in Vietnam, and his brother was over there. They were a mile apart when he was killed. They were both over there at the same time, and they were out in the jungles and the mud, and those are the guys that deserve the thanks.
You know Terry Klinger, would that be?
This one is William Klinger.
Bill Klinger.
Yeah, it's William Klinger. He's William. I don't hold me to this name. William Klinger the Third, I think.
Oh.
And his whole family, they were all been in the military, and you know, he's the only Vietnam vet that was killed. Then we have a World War II vet that was killed, Amos Wolfgang. Not Amos. Amos's brother Melvin. Melvin was the one killed. Now Amos saw a lot of World War II, but he was never wounded. He was on a ship that was a landing craft that was sunk. He survived it, but yeah, there are a lot of people in the military, but very, very few, percentage-wise, are up close and personal, so to speak. And
do you have any hobbies or projects you've taken up since you've been retired?
oh my, yes, not so much now, but yeah, I did. I taught school for 18 years. I guess that wasn't a hobby, but then after that,
What did you teach in school?
math
Math.
out at Keystone. And then after that,
At Keystone, where did you live at when you were teaching?
down in Kingsville.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
down on the farm down
a
there.
little bit of a travel.
Yeah, it was about 25 miles, I guess, wasn't it? Yeah.
Do you know Ken Schwartzberger?
Ken Schwarzenegger.
He used to be on the, or he's still on the board over there. I didn't know if he was on when you were there.
No, he would have been since me
He
probably.
was too young.
We did have a sports. No. Slogenhoff, I'm thinking of, was I taught with. I don't know him. No, I don't know Ken.
Do you have any advice you'd share with a younger person in Brookville about building a meaningful life?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I think would help everybody. If you're a young man or a young lady that really don't have any big plans when you're 18, join the military.
Especially the Air Force.
Well, the Air Force is probably, yeah. The Air Force offers a lot of good opportunities. There's no doubt about that. But any of them, it'll teach you to be a young man or a young woman in a hurry.
Now that you've lived a good portion of your life, is there any advice that you would gave yourself like before you went into the Air Force? Is there
Studied harder in school.
study?
Yep. Do the instead of being
Uh,
back when I was a kid, be sort of like your dad's situation. All I wanted to do was work, and you wanted to go out and make $1 and buy a car. That was your goal. So education meant absolutely nothing till I was about 25, and I sure wish I would have studied a little harder in high school and excelled a little more, and the same thing in college.
do you think that small town Pennsylvania life is better than big cities?
Yes, there's no doubt about it. Even despite all the little problems we have, I think the kids get a better education. They have more realistic, view on life. Whereas in the cities, they have, they just have so many things they can really get into trouble with, and much more so than we do in a small town. Of all the places I lived in the U.S., came back home. We're really fortunate around here.
Hey, now back over, we were talking about contrails earlier. now they're suggesting that they're chemtrails. Are there jets up there spraying the sky with like aluminum stuff like that? Not that you know of.
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
And they've become so much more efficient than they used to be too. You know that, but they still burn a lot of fuel. A jet engine burns a lot of fuel, but they've cleaned up the fuel a lot, and the engines have become more efficient, and it's much less so than it used to be.
Like how much fuel could you haul, or how much fuel did you take when you guys were going for
Well, in the 124s we use gasoline. We use
gasoline?
Yeah, 115, 135 gas, real high octane.
And
In
how
fact-
many gallons would you take
Well, we dealt in pounds.
or pounds?
Let's see. I think we could load about 50,000 pounds of fuel. Divide that by about 7, that gives you the gallons. We would average burning about 3,100 pounds per hour with 4 engines, 3,500 horsepower engines. We had 4 of them, and 28 cylinders in each engine. So they burned a lot of fuel. Typical trip, we'd probably burn 35,000, and then we'd have to have about 10,000 pounds reserve in case something happened. Or
Like when you were traveling, mostly, how many humans were on the planes when you a normal like?
well, my first 12 years I was in cargo, so unless once in a while we would haul soldiers, and we could haul up to 64 fully loaded soldiers, combat, and
But a normal flight you had like
we didn't
half
haul.
dozen?
We didn't, just a crew, 6.
And how many's in the crew?
6.
So 6 of you guys.
Yeah, most of the time we hauled no
a normal
passengers.
flight is 6.
6, yeah, that was our crew.
Did you like the colder weather flying in, or the warmer weather? Did you like you're up there at North Pole and you're down there at the equator? Did you prefer one or the other?
No, it's never nice to be real cold, but it's never nice to be real hot either. When the flying, it didn't really matter. The temperature didn't matter too much. It was a little more dangerous on the ice. If you had to land on ice, that's a little more dangerous than landing on runways. But on the other hand, the airplanes perform better in the cold air.
Did you ever have aircraft malfunction where you had to land?
We'd have engines would quit mid-flight.
And would you keep going, or would you land immediately?
Well, we'd land as quick as we could, but if you're out over the middle of the ocean, you don't do it immediately.
So you
Probably one of the clinchiest ones we had. We were going from, I think, Dover or Maguire to the Azores. That's the islands over toward Portugal. And about halfway, we lost an engine. We were fully loaded, so we turned north and went to Newfoundland. And landed at the first. You always land at the first place you can safely land.
How many engines did you have?
With 4.
So 4 and
Yeah.
one. So you're down to
Feathered one. You
75%.
feather and stop it, and then you fly in the other 3. Of course, you slow down.
Did you, in your lifetime, did you almost die? Ever? Did you almost die?
Close once.
And
We
when
were on. Again, I was in Europe, and in fact, I believe it was the same the same crew that I was in Khartoum. That was a bad one, I guess. And they were doing NATO exercises in northern Norway and northern Sweden, and we had some soldiers on board and some equipment, and we were going north, about halfway up Norway, about halfway to the northern part of Norway, and we were in the clouds, and we broke out of a cloud, and there was an aircraft coming right at our nose. And he wasn't supposed to be there, but he was. And
was it an American one?
we never knew for sure, but we think it was a Norwegian. We never found out.
Undisclosed.
So the pilot was quick. I think it was Major Evans, and the minute he did it, he went this way in that aircraft. So we were coming like this, and then we never saw him again. That was the closest. That was the closest. And I happened to be standing between the seats watching when that happened. But didn't have time to soil your pants or anything. It happened so quick.
How close do you think? How close were the two planes?
Oh, geez. I swear less than a football field. I really don't know. We were close. And of course we reported it, and air traffic control, which was Norwegian, they come back and said there's no airplane there. So we don't know where they went. It was probably a Norwegian. It looked like a C-119 aircraft. It had dual tails, 2 engine.
Did you ever see a hot air balloon while you're up there?
No,
Did you ever see a UFO?
no,
So everything that was pretty standard.
yeah.
Any other advice you want to give anybody?
Yeah, I can't think of anything. Barb, do you have any good advice to give anybody?
Not that I can think of right now.
Well, then I surely appreciate everybody that listens to this. Thank you. This is podcast number 126 on February the 16th, 2026.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Bob.